I'm so excited to answer this question because it gives me opportunity to talk about my special interest. So the other day I talked about how I had all these different dog breeds that I love so much. They're all near and dear to my heart and I would love to own. And the first one that I mentioned was the Japanese Akita, because even though I mentioned all those breeds, the Japanese Akita is my number one all-time favorite dog breed. To me, in my heart, in my eyes, they are perfection. Over the years of researching them. Number two for me, and it is a very close second, is the Akutian Laika. They're very different from the Japanese Akita, but I love them for a completely different reason. Those are the two dogs that, like, yes, I love all the other ones. They're great. And sometimes I'm like, oh, wouldn't it be so fun to own them? But really, realistically, I know that I am destined to own a Japanese Akita and a Yakutian Laika one day because I just love everything about them. And this woman had warned me about the Akitas, how I think she said it was her sister. I think it was a woman. So sorry if it's not. I think I just assumed that you were a woman, and that's not nice of me. But, I think she or he had said that their sister had gotten bit pretty badly in the leg by an Akita. And I said, like, something along the lines of, like, I love everything about their temperament, but thank you so much. I appreciate it. And she said, why? Like, she was asking me, like, why do I like their temperament if I know that they have the potential to be aggressive, and, like, aren't I afraid of that? And when I first started researching the Japanese Akita, really all Akitas, because this encompasses really both the American and the Japanese, I started researching them because I just thought they had, like, they seemed very interesting to me. They seemed very different than any dog breed that I had ever come across before. And so I kind of deep dived. Again, dogs are my special interest. I'm neurodivergent and I get really super into dog breeds and just researching them. And so this was like my new little, like, fun interest. And as I was researching them, I was like, wait, actually, these are kind of an incredible dog. Like, not just as, like, a special interest, but I can see myself wanting one of these one day. And it kind of aligned at the perfect time for me, where my personality was changing. I was going through a big life change. A lot of developmental things were happening in my life. And it is interesting because I did come across a lot of warnings, a lot of people talking about how aggressive the Akita is, and all of these horror stories with the Akita. And I do realize that is a factor, a potential factor, but it's opened up my understanding of aggression within dogs and what the root really is of that. Breed does have, of course, some level of tie to that, right? Tie to aggression, especially same-sex aggression, which is what like the Akita is mostly notorious for. But also so does genetics. A lot of people don't talk about that, but genetics have a huge play in a dog's temperament going forward, and also training and understanding the breed that you have. A lot of people get Akitas and they think that they are maybe akin to, you know, the American Pit Bull or the Rottweiler. I've heard people say, like, they're essentially like a fluffy Rottweiler, which could not be further from the truth. The Akita and the Japanese Akita have very similar temperaments. Depending on who you ask, they'll say little slight differences, but really they have across the board pretty similar temperaments. And the Japanese Akita comes from a long line of native Japanese dog breeds who have a vastly different temperament than westernized dog breeds. And that's something to take into consideration when owning an Akita, is their temperament. They are more similar to a Chow Chow than they would ever be to a Rottweiler. And that's something that I think a lot of people don't understand. And so it, you know, you kind of have to raise them a little bit differently. I personally have loved just this road that it has led me down, because it's even helped me train my own dog better, because with these dogs, the Akita demands a certain type of owner. You can't just be any type of owner. They're not for first-time dog owners for a reason. We'll see that like a lot being said when you research these breeds, and it's for a very important reason. It's because these dogs demand mutual respect. They do not bend at the will of just anyone. And so, you know, a lot of people will raise them or train them in the same way that they would raise or train, you know, a Labrador, and it just isn't working for them. They aren't going to bend at their will. A lot of dog trainers, it's actually notorious in the dog training world that dog trainers have a hard time with Akitas because you can't, or you shouldn't be training them in the same way that you're going to train any old dog. It requires mutual respect, and it requires understanding a dog's boundaries. It's not to say that like people who've had Akitas who have become aggressive have been poor owners or something. I mean, there are genetics, like I said, that come into play, but overall, like, these dogs do kind of demand and require an owner who is going to not expect them to go to the dog park, not expect them to get along with every person that enters their home, who is going to obey their bodily autonomy, which is huge. I rarely meet dog owners who obey their dog's bodily autonomy. And this has clicked for me with my own relationship with my rescue, who is a Pomeranian. You know what I mean? But she had a lot of like resource guarding issues. She was very finicky with people touching her paws, her tail. Now I can touch anywhere on my dog and she is more than happy, more than okay. She willingly gives me, and it's like that clicked for me when I started researching the Akita, because it's like, whoa, like there's a different way of training a dog that might be best suited for some breeds over others. Which, you know, is I think a requirement for the Akita is just the bodily autonomy. Not expecting your dog to want to meet everybody when they come to the door, or when you're on a walk. Like, the best type of socialization for an Akita is to just keep a walking and not pay any attention to the dog next to them. You know, they're not a dog that's going to be friends with everybody. They also bond mostly with one or maybe two people in the household, and then are kind of neutral with everybody else. And overall, I love their temperament, because they, to me, are these depictions of regal and zen and inner zen, inner peace, like inner knowing and confidence. They exude confidence. Their upright ears, their slanted eyes, and their curly tails actually evoke oftentimes aggression in other dogs, because all of those things, whether the Akita is aggressive or not, evoke aggression, or can evoke aggression towards insecure dogs who see that as a threat. So overall, like, these dogs just kind of require different ownership. They require a very specific type of handler, and I already kind of live my life that way, so they just seem perfect for me. But yeah, that's my answer.